I am so very happy to be joined by Kate Williams Stone today. Kate is a non diet health and life coach who helps women quiet the mental chatter. And I know there's a lot around perimenopause and to start feeling more calm, clear, and energized. Kate combines intuitive eating with hormone honoring habits and a feminist weight neutral approach to help women feel at home in their bodies because bodies aren't a problem to fix. They're a powerful ally to understand, which is such a powerful concept and is why we love Kate so much. Her work is all about peaceful eating, cyclical living, and embracing the changes that come with this powerful season of life. Oh, and she also happens to be a graduate of Carnegie Mellon's prestigious drama program. So, anytime you talk to Kate, she's going to bring the flair, which I'm always here for.
I love it.
Thank you so much for being here, Kate. I was getting ready to say it at the top of the hour, and then I stopped myself because I wanted to make sure we recorded me saying this. I have been so looking forward to this conversation with you because this is something front and center in my mind. And I think a lot of the moms that I talk to feel the same way. We are in a reawakening or maybe a new awakening around perimenopause and menopause. And it's sad that it's taken so long. It's sad that we're still so far from having a full grasp and understanding and education for the providers that help us navigate this phase. And yet there's an inkling of it there, which gives me hope. So I'm excited and so happy that there are providers like you out there, coaches and guides to help us navigate this tricky space. So thank you for being with us today.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. I'm obsessed with talking about perimenopause all the time.
I love it. I love it. This is why I enjoy talking to you. Kate is one of her experts too. So we get to talk with Kate a lot, and she's always such a fun, just bursting of energy. You always are such a joy to speak to. So I mentioned thinking about this a lot. I am getting ready to go and have a gynecologist appointment early summer. I've already got it booked. And it's a sad thing that when we go to see our providers, we are often rushed out of the office. And it's such a quick appointment that I've had all these questions swirling in my head. But when I'm there, sitting down on the table with the stirrups and all that nonsense, I completely go blank. And I'm like, just tell me I'm good, and I leave. And there's so many questions that I never got answered. So when you're gearing up to talk to your gynecologist about perimenopause, what kinds of things should we be tracking or writing down ahead of time? Are there specific symptoms, patterns, or questions that are especially helpful to bring with you to make the most of that short time in the doctor's office?
Such a valuable question. And first of all, Crissy, can we just acknowledge, of course your mind goes blank when you're sitting on a cold table with no pants on and a paper over you.
And right? The stirrups have a lot to do with it.
And the bad lighting, and, you hid your underwear under your jeans because that was going to be embarrassing.
I feel so seen.
So it makes sense that your mind is going to go blank in that moment. And for that reason, this is why you need to be prepared for that appointment. You can't just show up like it's a nail appointment, it'll just be fun and I'll have all these informative questions. I want to help you be prepared to have a productive conversation with your medical provider about perimenopause. So I think it's really important to write down those questions and have them either on your phone or on a piece of paper, but ready to go in that moment when your mind is going to go blank. But the information that you can be collecting between now and that appointment, two key things. They're going to want to know your symptoms. What are your symptoms of perimenopause? What are you experiencing? And I want you to track those. And the more specifics you can give your doctor, the better. So not just I'm not feeling myself. I just don't feel like myself anymore. I'm feeling a little bit off. But instead, my moods are ranging from I want to rip my husband's head off to teary-eyed the next day. And it's disrupting my life like in this way. I've had to miss work. I've had to miss this, or I'm scared to go do this because of my mood, or hot flashes is an example. Like instead of just saying, oh, I'm hot all the time and I'm having hot flashes, like I'm having hot flashes this many times during the day, this many times at night. It's disrupting my sleep because I'm awake with night sweats or hot flashes, 3 to 4 times during the night, and I'm not getting any sleep, which we also know then affects your mood. So getting those specifics down on paper will help you have a more constructive conversation. Also starting to track your cycle if you're not already. And I think the thing that surprises most people in early perimenopause is actually one of the first changes in your cycle can be that your cycles are shorter, not longer or farther apart. So your normal like 28-day dependable cycle all of a sudden like subtly starts getting shorter. So it's like a 25-day cycle and then a 27-day and then a 23 and a 25, right? And if you're not tracking that, you could think, oh, well, I'm bleeding monthly. Nothing's changed, but that subtle change is an indicator of early perimenopause, which is counterintuitive because you would think, well, I'm going into menopause, which means no periods, so shouldn't they be farther apart? But actually in the beginning, they're closer together for some people. And then as you get into later stage perimenopause, that's when we see like periods every 60, 90 days. So tracking your cycle. And I know right now, like tracking cycles is a really tricky subject just from a feminist perspective. So if you feel more comfortable on paper instead of electronically, do that. Like a paper calendar, X it out with a red marker. Like that's all you need to know.
Kate, I don't know how I feel at the moment. When you said that, I literally was just looking at my tracker and I was like, the past 3 months, my cycle has gotten, because I've been very regular and it's gotten shorter by like a day or two. And then it kind of went back and I was of the mindset, I was literally thinking, but it's like on the shorter end, not the longer end. So I'm not there yet. Okay.
You are. So that can be an indication that you have missed ovulating that month. And so your cycle is a little bit shorter, but you're still bleeding. So hormones are changing. That could impact your mood if you're not ovulating, your energy levels. So it's really, really helpful information to bring to your doctor.
Yeah, I love what you said about just really keeping a track record, because I have heard unfortunate stories from friends where they've gone to the doctor and expressed that they've had this symptom or that symptom, hot flashes, for example. And the response has been, oh, normal for your age, no big deal. And I've heard a story where a doctor had told a mom that perimenopause wasn't real. And my mind just exploded a little bit. And it's very frustrating if you are dealing with these and looking for guidance and assistance, and that is the response that you're getting. Yeah. So I feel that if you go into that appointment and you have a chart of your mood swings on a scale of 1 to 10 and your cycle on a calendar and hot flashes and the days and the times and the length, it's going to be much harder to turn you away and say, okay, this is something I need help with. This is tangible help. So I think that's very. One other question I do have for you. I recently realized, and this is from an Instagram reel, so I can't I can't cite the credibility of it, but it said that a symptom of menopause is itchy ears. And I had never heard that before. And I guess my question here is, I feel like there's a lot of things in perimenopause, like we hear hot flashes, we hear mood swings, night sweats, but are there other things like that I have never heard of before?
Yeah, I mean, the research is like ongoing, but there is a long, long list of potential perimenopause symptoms, itchy ears being one of them. And, it goes both ways here. It's important to acknowledge that perimenopause and menopause are real things, unlike that professional said to that mom. And it's also important to not say that every change that you're experiencing is perimenopause, because there are a lot of symptoms that overlap with other medical conditions. like thyroid, low iron, right? So that's where it's important to like rule out other things before just saying, oh, it's perimenopause. Like that's
For
the
sure.
big umbrella for any midlife health change. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of weird. I mean, I had the weirdest health reaction a year ago. My face blew up, like puffy, itchy, burning, dry eyes, puffy lips, like I got lip filler, like you wouldn't believe. All of a sudden, I did
Oh
allergy test.
no.
Yeah. And I did allergy testing. I did cosmetics allergy testing. Nothing came back. But all of a sudden, I had this outrageous allergic reaction to something, which we never figured out what it was. But the only thing I can connect is that was the first time I had a change in my cycle over 60 days. So we do know
Wow.
that
Yeah,
as hormones are changing, our body's reactions, it affects our entire system. And so you can be more prone to new allergies as
of
your
course.
hormones are changing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some pretty bad allergies, and that's a nutritionist I was working with mentioned that like clock your cycle and let's note where your hormones are for when those allergic responses are the strongest. Another
Yeah.
thing that I have right now, I have a continuous glucose monitor, which has been very helpful, and I have diabetes in the family and there's been some issues around that I've been trying to focus in on. And something I realized is 2 days before I start my period, my blood sugars go crazy. I
Yeah.
wake up in the morning and they're, without me eating or doing anything, they're up and down, they're spiking. And it's happened for 3 months now, for the 2 days before my, and that causes mood swings. So the hormones and the blood sugar,
Yeah.
if you got that all combined, the body is just crazy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of hormones, a lot of us have heard mixed things about testing. Some say you
Hmm.
can get your hormones checked, others say that it's not so reliable. What's the real deal when it comes to blood tests
Yeah.
for perimenopause? Should we ask for them? And what can or can't they tell us?
Yeah. This is such a good question. And I just want to acknowledge, like, of course, we want to have an answer, right? Like, of course, we want this definitive lab test answer that says yes or no, this is happening or this isn't happening. Unfortunately, that test doesn't exist. It doesn't exist that it's like a yes or no. What they can test is your follicle stimulating hormone, but that only indicates that you're in menopause. So 1 year, no period after the fact. But when you're in perimenopause, that FSH reading, depending on what day you are in your cycle, depending on what hour you are in your cycle, that number is constantly changing. So it's information, but it's not a reliable, like, yes or no definitive answer that I know everybody wants. And I want to also acknowledge that in this space of menopause having its marketing moment and the conversation coming to the forefront, along with that, one of the drawbacks is that there are a lot of retailers and marketers out there trying
Mm.
to get us to spend a lot of money. And so now I'm getting ads for like at home menopause tests, almost like a pregnancy test where you like
Mhm.
pee on a stick. Don't waste your money. There are other urine and saliva tests. And I will acknowledge, in my early 40s, I spent thousands of dollars on one of these tests. It's part of my story in becoming a perimenopause coach to educate women. But so, like, this conversation could literally save you thousands of dollars right now. Like, thousands of dollars by
We thank you,
listening to
Kate.
this. Yes. There's no like cortisol urine test that you're going to do at home and then send it into a lab and someone's going to analyze that and they're going to like give you your whole hormone picture. It doesn't exist. What is reliable as far as like a diagnostic for perimenopause is your age and your symptoms. So we actually clinically, to say you're in perimenopause, looking at symptoms is more productive than a blood test. So again, going back to tracking those symptoms, that's where you can really have a constructive conversation, is saying like, I'm experiencing night sweats, hot flashes, mood swings, change in body composition, like all of these things. And I'm 47 years old, like,
Mm.
then the whole picture makes sense.
Yeah, so powerful. Frustrating still that there's not a
Yeah.
finite test
So a lot
for.
of people will call perimenopause and menopause a second puberty or like puberty in reverse, which is not quite accurate. But if you look at how we treat puberty, like we know that our kids are going to go through this hormonal change. It's a normal part of aging. There's no emergency, nothing's wrong with them, but they are like awkward and have pimples and
Mm,
grow really strangely and their bodies change. But nobody's like, oh, something's wrong with you. You need a test. We need to like diagnose this.
yeah.
So we need to treat perimenopause a lot like puberty in that this is a normal hormonal transition. Menopause is inevitable for everybody. Like pregnancy is optional, but menopause is going to happen for everybody who has a uterus. And there are symptoms that are extremely uncomfortable for some people. Everyone's experience is different, but we're going to all go through it. And there are ways, just because it's a natural hormonal process, that doesn't mean that you need to suffer with your symptoms. There are hormonal and non hormonal options, along with lifestyle changes, that can help get you symptom relief. But then the other thing is that menopause is not just a medical thing. It's an emotional, mental, spiritual transition. There's so much going on for us in our lives. And so a medical doctor is just one tool, but you may need other support like a coach, a therapist, a group, right? Might be the support. I think of it like in a pregnancy analogy. Like if you think of your support team around your birth, like I had a midwife, but I also had a doula. They
Mhm.
both did different things. They both had different skill sets, and they were both equally as valuable to me. And they could work together in a partnership to support me in my birth. That's a similar way that I help with my clients, that I think I could be like your doula, your perimenopause doula, that you have a doctor. Absolutely. I'm not replacing your OBGYN, but there is more to perimenopause, especially the emotional pieces and the shifts in identity in midlife that your medical doctor can't support you through. And if you're looking for your medical doctor to sit down with you for 45 minutes and explain what's happening in your body in perimenopause, they don't have time in that 7 minute appointment. So like that's part of the reason I started hosting the Hot Flash Book Club, is because women had so many questions just about basic, like, what the heck is perimenopause? What should I expect? What should I do? And I'm like, oh, that's in books. We can read that together and have a conversation as a community around perimenopause.
And where can people find out more about your book
Yeah.
club?
So go to katewilliamstone.com, which is my website. And our next cohort for the summer is opening up in early May, June for our summer cohort. And that's a great way to just get some basic education around perimenopause and also have a community, just like your prenatal yoga class. Like it's your perimenopause book club.
Does that meet virtually or is that in person?
Yes. No,
Virtual?
it's
Okay.
virtually on Zoom.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have people from all over the country, which is really, really fun. And I also have a fabulous guide that has a lot of the information that I've shared here in a written format called Perimenopause 101: What You Need to Know Before You Talk to Your Gynecologist. And you can find that at katewilliamstone.com/GYN.
Perfect. Friends, make sure you check both of those fabulous opportunities out. Kate is a true gem. As always, Kate, thank you. We so appreciate you and all of the wisdom, but not just the wisdom, the calm around the storm of perimenopause and menopause that you bring. Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to chat with you.